Hi, a very good evening to each and every one of you. Firstly, thank you very much for making the time to join our open house webinar on the important circular around upstreaming of client funds by stockbrokers and clearing corporations, clearing members. The initial circular, as all of you know, was issued by SEBI on the 9th of June 2023. My name is Sriram Krishnan. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer of NSE. With me today, we have Piyush Chaurasia, who is Chief Regulatory Officer from NSE Clearing, and we also have Renu, who's from our regulatory team. So, without much ado, I want to uh, set the context so that we can move ahead with the discussion. So, the June 8 circular from SEBI spoke about upstreaming of client funds and also had one flowchart to sort of explain how the upstreaming process should work. It was to go live from the 1st of July, and SEBI then has extended the implementation timeline by a couple of months for some of the key steps. So that's the broad context. But let me begin by asking Piyush. Piyush, do you want to summarize the broad expectations of the SEBI circular first in terms of what's the intention of this entire initiative, and what is it that at a high level you expect members to take care of?
Thanks, Sriram. So this is a very interesting circular. So the main intention of the circular was to cut down the custody risk for the clients. So if you are aware that SEBI and the MIIs have done a lot of work in safeguarding client securities. So that started with the pledge leverage circular. After that, we came up with plain validation. So those things are already live in the market now. However, for fund side, other than some of the reportings, not much had changed. And this was basically one of the requirement, one of the steps to ensure that even the funds, client funds, are safeguarded, and the custody risk for the clients for such funds remains very low. So with that premise in mind, what SEBI he had issued a disclosure paper actually a few months back. That disclosure paper actually was much more it's quite different compared to the final circular, because what happened was a lot of comments came the discussion paper, and SEBI held extensive consultation with members, with MIIs, etc. And on the basis of those consultations, they framed the circular, where a lot of operational issues which members had earlier reported were SEBI tried to address as many as they could with the circular. So, for instance, in the original discussion paper, what was required was to be done was that all funds which come from clients had to be upstreamed in as is basis to the clearing corporation as fund itself. However, if you look at the new upstream circular which has come, the June 9 and then the sequentially the June 31, now SEBI has mandated is that you can do form transformation in the form of FDs or what is called now new mutual owner scheme. Um, but if you cannot do that, then you have to upstream the cash. But now there's a choice to the member that they want to upstream in the form of cash or FDs or mutual owner schemes. So that in a way helps out members, because the ones who wanted to create fixed deposit receipts, now they can technically do that. So that not much has changed from that perspective for current members. Uh, Another circular which had come just prior to this was on the bank guarantees, where SEBI had now banned that you cannot create bank guarantees out of client funds, and they have worked on grandfathering, and the existing even bank guarantees they have to be wound on by September 30. Now with this circular again, what SEBI is trying to do is ensuring that whatever client funds come, they are reported or rather are available with the clearing corporation, right? So they don't remain with the members, and that was the prime intention. Like FDs, even earlier you could create, but now when you create FD, it has to be re-marked to one of the CCs, right? That was the main intention. Then there are operationally, they have done some things like creating an upstream account, downstream account. That is also to ensure that the any kind of trail is easily available. That what is happening with those funds, where are they coming from, where are they going, etc. And even when you are trying to get the funds out of the clearing corporation, they want to be aware of this reason code, right? They're given a lot of reason codes that why those funds are being asked back from CC. So that is more the intention of SEBI, to safeguard client funds. So that's the primary objective.
Perfect. Thanks for that Thanks for that summary, Piyush. Now, as we understand, the whole objective is to protect client funds. So, is it a fair summary if one were to say that any member who's only doing proprietary trading, therefore is not even affected by this circular?
That's absolutely correct.
So, those who are doing only prop trading are straight away, completely unaffected by this entire initiative from SEBI. Now, that leaves us with two other possibilities. There could be certain members who have only institutions as their clients, in which case, as we all know, institutional trades are confirmed and settled by custodians. And therefore, do such members who have only institutional clients, do they need to open an upstream, downstream account, etc.? And are they impacted by this circular?
Um, so there is a little bit nuance to this question. My primary answer would be probably no. They are not impacted because in the institutional client's case, the clear member of the client of the institution that holds the margins. Nothing is with the broker who is executing it. However, in terms of equity cash, as of now, if the obligation devolves on the member, in that case, currently custodians also, as I understand, sometimes transfer the funds to the client account, which then becomes subject to a upstream downstream kind of requirement. However, we are in disagreement with SEBI, where we have suggested to them that such funds, custod will, if SEBI agrees, then we'll issue an FAQ where we'll say that any such funds, custodian should directly transfer to the prop account of the member, in which case there is no requirement of even creating upstream downstream account even for data transactions. So if once that happens, then we'll be very clear that for under no circumstance would upstream downstream be required for someone who does only institutional clients.
Understood. Can one use just one downstream account for both cash and derivative segment?
Answer is yes. Not only for both cash and derivative, across all segments, across all exchanges, you can have a common upstream and downstream account.
Perfect. Piyush, you've been already in touch with members from NSE clearing. What's your sense? I mean, have banks already helped our members in terms of renaming the existing accounts? Are members still facing any trouble in getting their renaming, etc., completed?
Shriram, we actually have been holding even meetings with banks. So the most of the banks which have the most of the majority of the accounts, have been holding periodic meetings with them. One, to understand that are there any challenges they are facing in ensuring that the members are able to open these accounts in time, etc. And second, what is the progress they see from the members' compliance perspective. So a couple of weeks back, basically on July 25th, we had such meeting where the banks confirmed that almost 90% of the client accounts have already been renamed as either upstream or downstream account. And so I think by July end itself, majority of the market has complied. But they already anyway have extra one more month time now, another 23 days, 3 weeks time, where they can actually do this. But I'm sensing that now no one has this problem because SEBI has in a way given a lot of time, ample time to get this activity done.
There's one member who's written to us stating that, in their bank, the nomenclature change has already happened as upstream and downstream account. And they've also updated this over ENIT, but the bank file, is still showing the type as client account instead of upstream and downstream. I guess this is just a matter of
no, because SEBI has actually given 2 months more time, right? So because they are given till August 30 to
exactly
till that time members can operate with client account.
Yeah.
So that's why the system cannot have both names. From the September 1, it will be only the current actual name structure.
Perfect. There's one other query from many members, and that query is with respect to banks, whether they might possibly charge any service fees for non-maintenance of average balance required to be maintained in the bank account, because now they will upstream all the funds to the clearing corporation via the settlement account. So what are your thoughts on this? I mean, what's your experience speaking with these banks, and do you think banks are going to charge any fees on such accounts?
So again, what we have done is we actually spoke to most of the banks, and at least all the private sector banks have confirmed that they will not be charging any kind of minimum balance fee charges, etc., for such accounts. What we have also done, I think Renu can confirm that we have written
Yes, we've
Yeah.
written to all the banks, whether it is a clearing bank or approved banks, requesting them that they should not be charging any fee or any charges on the minimum balance, because this is coming through one circular which is issued by regulator, and as per this circular, all the funds are required to be upstreamed, which means that the account will be zero. So we have requested all of them, in case any broker is facing any issue, they can get in touch with us, they can get in touch with bank, and they can show the circular which has been issued by the SEB.
Perfect. So those are the accounts regarding those are the questions that we've received from all members with respect to the account structure per se. We'll move on to the next bunch of questions, which is around what does one need to upstream? So there's a question from one of the members. By the way, I just wanted to upfront clarify that we will be reading out the names of all the members and the firms that they belong to in terms of the people who have raised these questions towards the end. So the credits will be given towards the end. But in the interest of continuity and effectiveness, we'll just focus on the questions and we'll read out the names of the contributors of these questions towards the end. So the question is, from one of these members, for which for certain clients who are untraceable, and let's say their funds are parked in a separate client bank account, does it need to be upstreamed or can it continue to be in the client bank account?
Yeah, so all the funds which are received from the clients or lying as unclaimed also needs to be upstreamed to the CC with clear allocation as client wise.
Sure. Is it necessary to upstream settlement account balance? Obviously, the answer is yes. And what about funds received after cutoff time? I think there a SEBI clarification has come around the debit fees. Maybe you want to talk about it for a moment.
So in the first SEBI circular, which was on June 8th, SEBI had said that no funds can come in the account after the cutoff time. However, some members, not some, quite a few members actually raised the issue that how do we stop client from transferring funds to us? Specifically now that the client accounts are also displayed on the website. And we believed, and SEBI also believed, that it was a genuine concern. So what SEBI has now done, and even the wording debit freeze actually come from some member representations that the funds can come in, but those funds should not be touched, right? So there will debit freeze, as the word has been specified in SEBI circular, and so the member should not touch those funds till the time next day the CC window again opens for the upload for the upstreaming.
There's another question that's come, and this question is very, very basic. The question is an allocation of the balance UCC wise, is that sufficient or is upstreaming absolutely mandatory? Obviously, the answer is upstreaming is absolutely mandatory. The other question is, can GST, minimum contract charges, clearing charges, etc., be considered within the ambit of DP charges?
Yeah, so what SEBI has done is they've given, and in it's a CC circular, they've given reason codes. In that, one of the reason codes talks about other charges, which include DP charges, etc. So under those, the charges which are not already specified in the previous reason codes, you can bring them in that.
Another question that's come from a few members is that, let's say there is a delay in receiving the funds from the client, and therefore they decided to put in their own funds to make the pay-in happen. Then how does the process work in that situation? So if you can explain the flow once, I think it will benefit all members. So the question is, from the members account, can the money just go to the settlement account and lie there, or does it have to further be upstreamed to the clearing corporation?
No, I think the question is that if the client has not paid,
Yes.
can I make the pay? Answer
Yeah.
is yes.
And you just put the money in the settlement account.
Yes. So you'll put the money in the settlement account. You'll ensure that the settlement goes through.
Yeah.
After the client pays, then you'll upstream it. Then you'll again downstream it back and take it to your account.
So when it gets downstream from the clearing corporation, it comes to the settlement account, and from the settlement account, it goes to the prop account.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Can members transfer amount of receipt against debit ledger to settlement? And this is the same question. Sorry. Okay, we've done this. Is it compulsory to allocate all client funds upstreamed to clearing corporation? If you keep it in an unallocated pool account, would it be considered a violation? Obviously, it would be.
Yes.
Right? So, okay. If we utilize client funds received for making early pay-in of funds for respective clients' fund pay-in obligation for shares purchased in the cash market on that day, instead of upstreaming client funds to CC, will it be a violation of the SEBI circular?
And the question comes that if I get involved in the morning before the paying, do I have to first upstream it and then downstream it and then use it for paying? Answer is no.
Yeah.
So we have written to SEBI that in this such cases, when the funds come the same day, it can lie in the settlement account and CC will take it for paying. If any funds remain lying, then that is upstream.
Sure. The next question is it necessary to upstream all client funds? Can we park the funds in settlement account and then utilize the same towards A, funds paid? Obviously, the answer is yes.
Yes.
We've already
For that
answered
day.
that. Yeah. B, towards client payout.
There the answer is no.
There the answer is no.
It has to.
It has to be upstream, then downstream, and then follow the process.
Right.
Yes.
Perfect. Treatment of MTM obligation from clients in derivatives. Since these funds are towards MTM paying and not towards margin exposure, can we simply transfer the funds from our upstreaming account to the settlement account without having to upstream to CC?
No. So answer is that when you are looking at upstreaming of the funds, nothing to do with what purpose the funds are being given for. It is for paying or for collateral or for MTM, etc. Whatever money comes, you have to upstream it. If it's being used for paying on the same day, you can let it be used for paying, and then whatever funds remain in settlement account, that you have to upstream.
Perfect. There's one other question which from our member, which is that if a client is registered only for DP and trading account is inactive, do we still have to upstream any funds, or can we keep the funds in own account? Obviously, the answer is that it has to be upstream.
Yes.
Okay. There's one interesting question from one of the members. He says client A has bought shares worth rupees 100 and pays 105, including brokerage and charges on T-day. We've done early paying of funds to CC on T-day for 100. Do we have to upstream the balance of 5 rupees lying in our settlement account on T-day, as exchange will debit charges for STT and stamp duty on T+1 day automatically?
That's correct. So that 5 rupees you have to upstream to CC. And anyway, we have given reason code again in terms of how you can then later on downstream it back and take it to your account under STT and statute Louis. So under that, those headings, you can take it back to your proper account.
Okay. If the client transfers, let's say 105 in upstream account on T+1 day at 10 a.m. and we transfer it to the settlement account, do we have to upstream that to CC for paying at 10:30 a.m.?
As we discussed that only the residual amount which will left after paying that you have to upstream.
Perfect. So thank you, Renu and Piyush. That is on what to upstream. So we've completed 2 topics so far. One is on the structure of the account itself and what does one need to upstream. So we'll possibly move over to the next topic, and that would be around the reason codes, right? There are a few questions around reason codes, and this is with respect to downstreaming. When you ask for money back, then obviously you need to indicate the reason code which the clearing corporation has stipulated for various purposes. So the first question is, at what time can we start providing the reason codes for the amounts requested?
Yes, I think one thing here to note is that we do not expect you to give reason code or per withdrawal basis. Okay, we are not asking for that. You don't have to give it upfront or at the time of withdrawal. Suppose you've done 20 withdrawals in a day of say 10 crore each. At the end of day, we are expecting you to do 200 crore consolidated, give a reason code across different reason codes. That's all. So you have to do this activity only once a day at the end of day, not intraday while you are withdrawing this funds.
Second question is it mandatory to ask for segment-wise release for paying purposes?
That's right.
Okay.
So we have given a mechanism of what needs you to do for asking for same segment versus other segments. So that mechanism is different circular of NSE clearing of June 30.
Okay. For withdrawal of FDR interest, under which heading does the same have to be reported?
That will come under prop.
Okay. Interest on FDR. Okay, this is the same question. Please explain withdrawal reason, loss on sale of unpaid securities. If the withdrawals are of under this head is not done for a few months or years, will there be a violation?
See, He can actually withdraw this fund under the unpaid securities because he has unpaid securities and on which he's got a loss. And if he's not withdrawing, the ideal time is T plus 1 plus 6 because the settlement happens on T plus 1 basis and then 6 days more. But if he has not withdrawn and tomorrow any litigation is there, anybody will be eligible for claim up to T plus 1 plus 6.
Thank you. There is a pay-in of client funds, and we've used our overdraft balance for paying, and we've requested for withdrawal of funds to refill our overdraft balance again, which was initially used for paying. Then what reason code should be applied for that purpose?
So overdraft is not reason code. Basically, what you're doing in that case is you are from your prop funds, you are putting the funds in a settlement account. Now here we are not concerned by whether it's your own funds or you take an OD for that. So like earlier question, while getting the downstreaming, you will put as a prop funds and then take it out.
When my prop funds are upstreamed into the settlement account and then upstream further to the clearing corporation, let's say that fund is of no use for the same day and I want to reverse the same. Then which reason code should I select?
And you repeat the question.
Suppose I upstream my prop funds into the settlement account and then obviously to the clearing corporation.
No, but prop funds are not required to be upstream to CC.
Perfect. So that is a clarification we provided at the very beginning, and therefore this is an important clarification that members may need to fully understand, because there are many questions around the same topic, which I think are out of the ambit of the circular and what we are trying to achieve here, right? Okay, can we use OD account to increase ABC during trading hours? In this scenario, what is the reason we have to give for downstreaming of funds towards the settlement of OD account?
I think it's the same question which we just answered.
Understood. Perfect. In downstreaming of funds, can reason code 01 be used for cumulative days balance or day-wise balance? If cumulative days, then can it be treated as CM, TM, pro reason for next day onwards?
So he can use days wise also, and he can accumulate it for a couple of days and take withdrawal.
Okay. Reason 02, loss on CUSPA stroke MTF. Does trail need to be kept by members on script wise and UCC wise basis? Or UCC wise ledger balance difference, would that be sufficient enough?
Whatever money he has used from his own funds and he's downstreaming it, he has to do a cumulative download.
Okay.
The circular doesn't change any reporting or rather not reporting. How do you maintain your ledger? Whatever previous SEBI guidelines are there, the circular doesn't change any of that.
Perfect. That completes the bunch of questions we received around reason codes. We'll move on next to timelines. Questions around timelines. Lots of questions from members on timelines. So the first one is, if downstream request is given before 12 p.m. with one option, the funds are released immediately. But for cases after 2:30, the release is received only after 5 p.m. I don't think this is a valid observation, but what's your take on it?
I also don't think the right observation, because CC continues to release funds even though SEBI circular says within 2 hours. But actually, so there are a lot of banks which are under SFMS network. There the transfer happens very quickly. Even for the banks who are not on SFMS, it definitely happens within 2 hours. I don't think that's a valid.
No, fair enough, but
maybe
still,
some instance, maybe some member has
some odd instances, probably. But if there are any such instances, please do write to us and bring it to our attention so we can examine and investigate that particular case a little more detail to make sure that we help you in a comprehensive.
In that case, let us know the member, who your member are, which day and which bank it happened with.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is the upstreaming window. At what time does it open? I think this is based on when the banks open.
Right.
Okay. During the last 1 hour or 30 minutes, let's say due to a technical issue at the bank, if upstreaming of funds from the upstream account to settlement account is not executed, how do we report this issue, and is this going to be treated as a violation?
Well, you need to actually have all your technical proofs, including that bank controllership possible, and that you have to give to the exchange, because then they'll have to look at it as a
case to case. Yeah, on case to case basis, we'll have to have a look basis what was the technical issue if it is confirmed by the bank.
Right.
So it's important for members to keep screenshots and other proof handy, because you never know when you will encounter such challenges. So members, please take care. And if there is any problem at any point in time, please do document the same by quickly sending an email or taking a screenshot, etc. Okay, the next question is a common question. If we get client funds after 7 p.m., then what should be done? And how do we ensure compliance? Again, this is answered by the SEBI circular, right? So we've covered it at the very beginning. Right? Okay, can I pull funds after 7 p.m. if NCL margin files are delayed in the end of day settlement process?
First thing is that I don't understand what the question exactly is, because NCL margin files had nothing to do with downstream requests, because members need to maintain their own ledger. So there are only three files the members need from us. One is the trade file, one is the margin risk parameter file, not margin file, the risk parameter file or VAR file, and third is settlement price file. All of them come way much before 7 p.m. or 7:30. None of the file come after 5:30 basically. So they have ample time to compute and their client obligations and release or ask for release whatever funds they need to ask for release.
Okay, the next question is, can I keep funds in my downstream account at end of day, assuming NEFT approval happens after bank hours?
So here our advice would be that you only ask for money withdrawal in client downstream account what you know you are going to give out to the client, right? So after downstream window is closed, that is 7 p.m. for instance in NSE clearance case as of now, if you have funds say at 8 or 9 p.m., as long as you're sure that you'll be able to give to the clients, then it's fine.
That's an important question that many members have asked, and it says, how do we keep funds for GSEC and gold bonds, because we have already allocated the funds on T day, and on T+1 morning we'll need the funds before 9 a.m. when the exchange has not provided any mechanism. So how do we then ensure we deal with this situation?
So there are two ways you can do it. One is you unallocate and ask for validated release on T day itself.
So validated release. When you mean validated release, I give a release request today, but for tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
For day after tomorrow? No, for tomorrow.
For tomorrow.
Yeah, for tomorrow.
Okay.
And second way you can do it is actually in the morning also. NCL is one CCP which provides a facility even in the early morning. You can do this same exercise in the morning also, and we ensure that the funds come to an account before we hit your account for pay. So that happens a lot. So basically SGB and GSEC, those pains window is same as derivative window.
Right.
Yeah.
So two options, two solutions from us essentially.
Yeah.
Is this the prevalent thing in the market, or is there something extra that we are doing?
So I think most CCs have only the value date release concept. We also have an early morning thing that in the morning also you can ask for release. So that's something which is I think unique to NSE clearing.
So at what time does one have to request NSE clearing in the morning, assuming they want to use that other option?
By 7:45 a.m.
Okay, by 7:45 a.m. if I put in a request for release, you're saying that the clearing corporation will make sure that the settlement account is funded by 9:30 or so.
8:30.
8:30, sorry, by 8:30. Okay. The next question that has come from the members is that, okay, this is the same repeat one. Okay. We are a trading member and our clearing member is a bank. So upstreaming circular cutoff timing for fund release and deposit, is it applicable to us as a PCM? As a trading member, what cutoff timing would we have to follow?
So I think there's a lot of confusion of what happens if I'm a trading member clearing through a bank, right? Because SEBI circular specifically says that upstreaming circular is not applicable to banks who are either custodians or clearing members.
Right.
So what does that mean is that the banks who are custodian clearing members, they don't need to upstream to CC. However, the compliance requirement for a trading member who is clearing through such a bank is same as for a trading member who is not clearing through a bank. There is no change in the compliance for trading member.
Okay.
Including all the cutoff times, they all remain the same.
Okay. For custody, trade confirmation process cutoff is 7:30 p.m. and only then we are able to debit the bank account maintained by the client and bring money to the custody pool account for onward upstreaming to clearing corporation via custody settlement account. So this question, Piyush, comes from a non-bank custodian.
Okay.
So they're saying that this activity is normally done post the banking cutoff, and so there will be funds lying in either the settlement account or the custody upstreaming account at end of day. Will this activity be exempted? Because this is the nature of the custody business.
So any fund which come to your account, your USCB account after the cutoff time, SEBI already given the what needs to happen with that. Because they will remain debit free. Any funds which come before the cutoff time, you need to either do early pay or need to upstream to CC.
Okay. The other question from also the same member who's a non-bank custodian is that this is with respect to corporate actions. In our client's demat account, the above account is MAT, which is the custody corporate account, corporate action pool account. This account receives credits on account of dividend, interest, etc. throughout the day, sometimes even post 6 p.m. Amount received prior to 6 p.m. needs to be reconciled so that the amount can be moved to the beneficiary bank account. This activity is completed at around 7 p.m., post which if there are some unreconciled items, the same will remain in the custody pool account and cannot be upstreamed.
No, that is not acceptable, because in this case you'll have to comply with what is upstream timings there. Any fund, any money which you get as interest or whatnot, by the time of cutoff time, that you'll have to upstream. Whatever comes after the cutoff time, then that technically you can leave in the account and upstream the next day and debit freeze.
Okay. The next question is, can we as a PCM take 6 p.m. as a hard cutoff for balances to be upstreamed?
The cutoff time is basically linked to the CC cutoff time. You'll have to always be guided by that. It's basically 1 hour before the CC.
I think the question is, the question is, can it be earlier than the CC cutoff time, which I think is absolutely fine, right?
Right, yes. You can do 6:30 also, that's fine.
Right.
You cannot do 5:30.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is from a member who says, we are a bank-led broker where we allow client to trade on the basis of lien. We pull the funds once all billing and margin obligations are posted in the client ledger. These activities complete when the final NSE cash MG13 comes. That is, we are able to pull the funds post 10 p.m. How can we comply with the upstream, downstream norms?
So they will change the process, because what they're currently doing is not acceptable. They need to ensure that the entire billing happens before the cutoff time, and the funds then get upstream to CC after that.
Okay, the next question is, if after payout release to client, in case the payout gets rejected on the same day, how to downstream the account to nil?
That is why I think we mentioned that only keep that much money in your downstream account, which you can safely transfer to your client account. However, if there are certain cases, that time you have to maybe ask the exchange for some kind of a relief on a particular day. If some bank has some problem doing the payout, that case again, those proofs have to be there, and then you need to provide to the exchange. That is an exceptional scenario where with some bank I could not do my payout to client. As it's mentioned, it's got reversed, rejected.
Or in case, the amount gets rejected even after the transfer. So those needs to be supported by evidence, and case to case basis we can take decision.
Okay, the next question is, client makes payment after the cutoff time of upstreaming of funds to CC. And because of this payment, the client is our creditor. How will we make this payment to the client as we have upstreamed all the funds to CC? Can we make payment from our own account via settlement to downstream account?
I think the question is that if the client is asked for withdrawal during the time when CC is not operational, probably I think that's the question.
Yeah.
So this is something again which we have written to SEBI. We are awaiting the confirmation on this point. Our intention that it should be possible, it should be allowed, and we have also proposed a couple of more reason code to SEBI for that. But we'll have to wait for final SEBI confirmation before we can confirm on this.
Okay. The next question is, can a trading member use client funds received early in the morning for paying without upstreaming to clearing corporation?
Yes.
Okay. As SEBI has allowed us to hold funds in a client bank account received after cutoff time for upstreaming to CC, can the TM report that funds retained in the bank account in client-wise segregation report to be uploaded on T+1 day?
Yes.
If the check issued to the client hit the bank early in the morning, let's say 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., or on a non-working day, say on Saturday, then how can the trading member get that check cleared from downstreaming bank account?
I am honestly don't think that any bank uh, presents a check at 6 in the morning. No bank works at such ungodly hours. All of them, from what we understand, do that as an end of the activity. So if there's such case, you let us know. We will see what it is. But we have not really come across any such instances.
In the case of check deposit by client, and let's say the same has been cleared by the bank late night, how do we upstream the funds as debit freeze is applicable effective 1st September?
Right. So that's the point, right? So the funds which come to your account after the cutoff time, you can just put a debit free, right? You don't have to upstream it at that instant.
Sure. Cash release with immediate option.
I think before you go there, one more thing is that SEBI has emphasized a lot that now with a lot of digital push, members should not be accepting checks or writing checks. So unless it's a regulatory requirement that you have to write a check, you should not be doing. Especially writing checks is something which SEBI doesn't understand why it does happen, and even taking funds by checks, that is again something which SEBI highly discourages. So that is one thing which, as a process improvement, maybe you should look at. And why are you taking checks, and can you move those lines to digital mode of payment?
In fact, in the quarterly settlement circular also, in the FAQ, it has been clarified clearly that all the funds needs to be transferred only in the electronic mode. Only when those have been dishonored or those have been rejected, then only checks should be made. And this should be an exceptional case.
Understood. One of the members has said that shared feedback that the cash release with immediate option, they're getting it a little delayed, between 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. during that time period. But during other periods of the day, we are getting the release in about 15 minutes. Would that be possible for some members like that?
I need to check that. We have to look at instances.
Yeah, so I think it would be useful if you give us examples.
Which again, as I mentioned, please tell us your member name, the day, and the bank.
Yeah, it will be useful to investigate such erratic instances and rectify the root cause, if any. Okay. On settlement day, it will not be possible late in the night after giving settlement payout to clients to transfer the amount left, if any, in the downstream bank account to upstream bank account and then to CC. As cutoff is 7 p.m., please give resolution. I think this is already clarified, right?
No, I think this is slightly different point.
Slightly different. Okay.
So on running account days, we understand that will be an issue where members may not be able to upstream the funds. I think for such days, exchange will definitely look at it in a different way.
Yes,
Right.
we will look at it, and as you said, we have also gone to SEBI so that we can give a clarification to market,
Yeah.
which we will include in our proposed FAQ. But we are waiting. We are discussing with SEBI, and we'll soon issue.
Okay, funds received after cutoff on Friday and on Saturday. Is payout on Saturday possible?
Again, that's something which we written to SEBI about. The same point,
Yeah.
that can someone use their own fund, etc., to make the payout to clients while the CC is not active. So that is something which we written to SEBI. We hope to hear quality from them on that.
Okay, what happens when we make a payment to the client, but it gets rejected by the client bank for some reason, and we get the money back after 8 p.m.? How do we need to show that as the window is closed after 7 p.m. and upstream window is also closed?
Yeah, so as we mentioned that we need to keep the proof for such kind of rejection.
Right.
So that should be all right.
Okay. Can we retain funds in the downstream account for daily payouts after bill posting at around 11 p.m. to 12 a.m.?
So again, I'll restate that point that if you are confident that you can make the payout to your client before 12 night, then I think it should be okay. But if you don't think, you are not sure, then better to upstream it and then take it down next morning.
Okay. I think also there could be a challenge with the banks, right? Supporting such late
That right.
fund
So I think
movements.
same bank, maybe you can do it with banks which are not the client account, which is not in your own bank. There are some limits which the banks put. So to those limits, some of those transactions they honor, but that is not something which is a foolproof system or where you can guarantee that it will happen.
Sure. The next question is, from a member who says bank brokers are executing client pay based on hold marked in bank accounts. We can't debit client bank accounts unless obligation, which is trade value and margins, is finalized, which match with client contracts and DMR exchange provisional margin files come after 7:30 p.m. So how can we complete pay-in payout activity in such a short span?
I think I'll repeat the point that you need to have your own back office, those calculations.
Not wait for the
Yeah, you
exchange.
cannot. CC files
Or the
are not.
clearing
Yeah,
corporation.
exactly. So those files are not meant for this purpose. They are meant for your reconciliation, not for actual processing of, but doing back across activities.
The next question is from another member who says, after client's fund payout at 9:30 p.m., should we transfer the remaining account to upstreaming account, or should we move that fund on the next working day when the upstreaming window opens?
Same day, it has to be moved from the downstreaming to upstream account and should be kept there.
Okay, the next question is, what do we do if the bank is supporting in withdrawal of funds after 4 p.m.? We have our client margin in Yes Bank, but Yes Bank doesn't accept fund withdrawal requests after 3:30 p.m. In that case, funds keep lying in account which are received after 3:30 p.m.
I am not really sure that any bank doesn't allow withdrawal of 3:30 p.m.
Yeah,
Including
yeah.
Yes Bank.
Appears a little strange.
Yeah, because there are a lot of members who are in Yes Bank, and we are not really. Because Yes Bank will actually lose business if they don't allow these things after 3:30 p.m.
No, I think this merits investigation. So maybe the member can send us the details, and we'll be happy to speak with Yes Bank and help you out if this is really happening with a particular branch or in a particular instance. We'd like to understand the details here, please. Okay, the next one is a member saying they are receiving multiple complaints from clients when they are unable to get urgent payout, as clearing corporation will release the required amount upon request on its specific time. I don't understand this. It's probably not framed correctly enough, but I think urgent payout, what they mean is that the clearing corporation will release the amount in batches, possibly. That's their imagination, but I don't think we do it in batches, do we?
No, we don't. And it might take a few minutes, obviously. It's not instantaneous. It cannot be instantaneous. But so once you send the request, it will go for payout to the SMS system, etc. So it takes some time. But so instantaneous payment obviously cannot happen. So maybe that's the question. If that is the question, then yes, it cannot happen.
Okay.
But again, we have asked SEBI for relief in a way that the members should be able to, if they really wish to, and if it's so urgent for them, they can make the payout in the interim to the client and then ask for withdrawal request from the CC. Later on, and they can say that already paid to the client.
Okay. Another member says, they receive withdrawal requests from clients for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And so they are saying, is there a provision for us to retain some money in the downstream bank account on Friday so that we can process such weekend withdrawal requests?
That is.
Okay. When the RTGS or NEFT is debited by the bank at 5:30 p.m., but credit is received at, let's say, 8 p.m., as the cutoff time is 7 p.m., what would be the effect of this on this in this situation? Because this is a
Bank do not take 2.5 hours to if you had done an RTG at 5:30, it doesn't you don't the around it gets hit at 8.
Unless there is a technical snag or some
right,
problem,
right.
right? In which case, like we earlier mentioned, it's always good to have the documentary evidence of what we have done so that we are able to explain our position subsequently if need be. Okay, that sounds good. Before we end today's episode, let me just read out the names of all those members who have written it to us for today's episode in no particular order. Dushyant Sundaram from Libra Holdings Private Limited, Mumbai. Vinod Deshmukh from Samurai Securities Private Limited, Mumbai. Yatin Kamath from IDBI Capital Markets and Securities, Mumbai. Ramesh Chaudhary from Jyoti Portfolio Private Limited, Delhi. Chirag Doshi from Four Dimensions, Mumbai. Dilesh Prabhakar Gangatirkar from Stock Holding Corporation, Navi Mumbai. There's Navneet Parekh from Samco Securities Limited, Mumbai. Gaurav Napit from Manoj Securities Private Limited, Indore. Sailesh Singhal from Jave Securities Limited, Vadodara. Atul Chokshi from Kuvarji Finstock Private Limited, Ahmedabad. Yatin Kamath from IDBI Capital Markets and Securities, Mumbai. Jaya Dedia from Jamson Securities Private Limited, Mumbai. Nilima Modani from Citigroup Global Markets India Private Limited, Mumbai. Ashok Kumar Bajaj from Taurus Corporate Advisory Services Limited, Mumbai. And bear with me as I go through this huge list. There are so many questions, and we are really, really delighted for all the effort you've taken in putting these up. Okay, further, Ketan Shah from RRS Shares and Stockbrokers Private Limited, Mumbai. Shailesh Shingle from Javeri Securities Limited, Vadodara. Sridhar GS from Vedu Wealth Brokers Private Limited, Bangalore. Mukesh Kumar Agarwal from AUM Capital Market, Kolkata. Virender Arora from Master Capital Services, Noida. Nilesh Sangani from Comtech BizSoft, Mumbai. Nilesh Prabhakar Ganga Tirkar from Shell, Navi Mumbai. Shubhangi Avinash Kamble from LFC Securities Private Limited, Mumbai. Davesh Vetal from Equirus Wealth Private Limited. Ratnamala from Fortune Wealth Management, Coimbatore. Ketan Shah from RRS Shares and Stock Brokers, Mumbai. Pankaj Maru from Global Worth Securities, Mumbai. Digal Shah from Axis Securities, Mumbai. Rajkumar Gupta from SBI Cap Securities, Mumbai. Vinod Deshmukh from Samurai Securities, Mumbai. Yogesh Lakotia from Viram Share Broking, Mumbai. Sailesh Kumar Patel from QI Brokerage, Gandhinagar. Krishnan Nair from Nuvama. Arbinda Gimire from Nuvama Clearing. Vineet Maheshwari from Chuknu Securities, Kanpur. Rajkumar Gupta from SBI Securities. Uh, Ramesh Chaudhary from Jyoti Portfolio, Delhi. Sunil from SAS Online, Delhi. Virendra Arora from Master Capital Services, Noida. Pratik Danesha from JV Equities, Rajkot. Almira D'Souza from HDFC Securities, Mumbai. Ina Desai from JM Financial, Mumbai. Deepak Singh from AAK Stock Market, Mumbai. Nikhil Parikh from Monarch Capital, Monarch Network Capital, Ahmedabad. Hiten Goti from Pune E-Stock Broking, Pune. Just a few more. Sunny Agarwal from Jalan and Company, Kolkata. Sri G. Agarwal from Grow, Bangalore. Swapna from SBI Securities, Mumbai. Jitendra Jain from Asta Credit and Securities, Bhopal. Rahul from Reliance Securities, Mumbai. Bihari from Grow, Bangalore. Nidhi Patel from Mumbai. Thank you very much once again to each and every one of you for taking the time out to post these questions.